So I want to talk today about Blasey Ford and the closing of the American mind. It's not ancient history yet, but one day it will be. I think there's some stuff we can learn. For some background, if you remember, Blasey Ford was a woman who accused Brett Kavanaugh of sexual harassment like 30 years ago. Brett Kavanaugh was one of Trump's nominees for the Supreme Court. There was a congressional hearing. Blasey Ford wanted to testify before Congress about the supposed sexual harassment, but in one of her conditions she said that she only wanted women to interview her. A big red flag right there. But I think it serves as a microcosm for how when these media events happen, there's really relevant information that's kept from the public. And that's why they have to ban journalists to talk about the really relevant information. And people are just so convinced, and on social media you saw this. He was hung even before being tried, you know. If you accuse a man of sexual harassment, you don't even need any evidence anymore. And sexual harassment is a concept that's being reworked and expanded in ways that even decades ago would be unthinkable. But during the whole debacle, there was a lot of debate in the media about teenage drinking and the drinking culture in the 80s and all that. But one journalist, who's now completely been kicked off the internet, had gotten a hold of the high school yearbooks of Blasey Ford, where she boasted of having sex with hundreds of partners. She boasted about drinking so much that she would black out and not remember anything. She had pictures of herself dressed up as a Playboy bunny prostitute. And most importantly, she boasted of having blackouts and 200 partners and not being able to remember anything. So, you know, even bragged about seducing older men when she was underage, which in recent years has been redefined as rape. None of it, and this was all the primary sources in the high school yearbook. None of that was relevant. On the other hand, Brett Kavanaugh's primary sources from that time was his journals, which proved that he couldn't have been where she said he had been. On social media, and just in Facebook threads, I brought up about these primary sources, and I was attacked because the only journalists that was mentioning it were these journalists that had been banned. Even though here are the primary sources where she bragged about having multitude of sexual partners, bragged about drinking so much that she blacked out. So really relevant information is kept from the public. Another good example of closing of the American mind would be during the campaign when Trump was running for president the first time, and a judge made a ruling about one of Trump's private businesses, and Trump said that the judge was probably biased because he was Mexican. And Bernie Sanders came out and said if there's any shadow of a doubt that Trump was a racist, this should prove for sure that he's a racist, and media crying, racist, racist, racist. What they didn't tell you about the judge, and the only journalists who were talking about this, they're easy to be written off as conspiracy theorists. Now they're completely banned. But what they didn't tell you about the judge was that he was actually a member of the Mexican version of the KKK. It's called La Rasca. It's a racist group that advocates racism against whites. It's the Mexican equivalent of the Ku Klux Klan, and they want to have a violent overthrow of American society. That's what they advocate for. And Cesar Chavez, he was a civil rights figure who advocated for rights for farm workers, he had actually spoken out against this ideology. Just like Martin Luther King Jr. wanted people to be colorblind. So it's only racism if it's against whites. And that's really sad. A fair treatment of the situation between Trump and the judge would have been to report on the judge's background, that he had given money and was part of this Mexican racist group. It was the Mexican equivalent of the Ku Klux Klan, but see how the media manipulates public opinion, and all those journalists that talk about these things are banned, okay? Some could be true of the Clintons and the drug dealing and all the scandals about the Clintons and the Bushes that were kept from the public. So there's a closing of the American mind when the only narratives that are allowed to flourish are those that are coming over the idiot box. So we need to go to the alternative media if we're going to have a full picture of what's going on.